Have you ever had someone suddenly disappear from your life? No warning, no closure, just unanswered messages and unanswered questions. And while it feels personal, psychology suggests something else is happening beneath the surface. Today, we're exploring the psychology of people who disappear without saying goodbye, not to excuse the behavior, but to understand what actually drives it. Because the real reason people ghost isn't what most people think, and we'll get to that shortly. In today's digital world, disappearing has never been easier. A text goes unanswered, a profile goes silent, a number gets blocked. But here's the uncomfortable question. Why do some people choose silence when they know it causes so much pain? Psychology points to a core mechanism behind most disappearing acts. It's called avoidance behavior. And once it activates, logic shuts down. Avoidance behavior occurs when emotional discomfort feels overwhelming. Instead of confronting a difficult situation, the brain looks for the fastest escape. For most people, that means enduring an uncomfortable conversation. But for chronic ghosters, even the thought of that conversation triggers anxiety. Their nervous system doesn't register closure, it registers threat, and that changes everything. Think about the last time you had to deliver bad news. Your chest tightened, your thoughts raced, you imagined every possible reaction. Most people push through that discomfort, but ghosters don't. Because for them, the emotional cost feels unbearable, and that's only the surface layer. Research in psychology shows that people who frequently disappear often share certain traits: lower emotional intelligence, difficulty regulating emotions, and an external locus of control. This means they feel life happens to them, rather than believing they can influence outcomes through their actions. So when relationships become emotionally complex, they feel powerless, and powerless people avoid. Many ghosters also display an avoidant attachment style. This often forms early in life. If emotional expression was discouraged, punished, or ignored during childhood, distance becomes a survival strategy. As adults, when closeness feels threatening, disappearing feels safe. But here's where it gets interesting. Sometimes ghosting isn't about avoiding the other person, it's about avoiding themselves. When someone ghosts, they're often running from guilt, shame, or inadequacy. They may care deeply, but caring creates internal conflict, and that conflict is painful. This leads us to a powerful psychological concept: cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance occurs when actions clash with self-image. A person who believes they're kind struggles to accept wanting to leave someone behind. So instead of confronting that contradiction, they disappear. Silence becomes a psychological escape hatch. No conversation, no accountability, no emotional reckoning. There's also an illusion of control at play. By disappearing, the ghoster controls the timing, the narrative, and the outcome. They don't have to face unpredictable reactions, or emotional responses, or persuasion. In their mind, silence prevents chaos. But in reality, it often causes far more harm. The digital age has made this behavior easier than ever. Screens create distance. Distance reduces empathy. When you don't see someone's reaction, it's easier to minimize the impact of your absence. And over time, ghosting becomes normalized. Many people who ghost others have been ghosted themselves. This creates a cycle. Avoidance feels justified, silence feels acceptable, and emotional responsibility slowly disappears. If you've been ghosted, this part matters. Their silence is rarely a reflection of your worth. More often, it reflects their inability to handle emotional complexity. Understanding this doesn't erase the pain, but it can release the self-blame. The psychology of disappearing without goodbye reveals something deeply human: a fear of vulnerability, a fear of emotional exposure, a fear of discomfort. And sometimes, the kindest thing we can do is accept that some people lack the tools for healthy closure, and choose peace without their participation. If someone has ever disappeared from your life without explanation, you're not alone. If you feel comfortable, share your experience in the comments. Sometimes writing it out helps more than we expect.